for the exchange and deposit of the notes. The Finance Secretary back with us. Mr. Somanathan, appreciate you joining us here this evening. There's a plethora of developments that have taken place, but let's address the issue of the withdrawal of the 2,000 rupee denomination note. As we've been pointing out, this continues as legal tender. Now, we know that the printing of the note had stopped in 2018-2019, and the circulation has also come down from about 36% at its peak to about 10% currently, Mr. Somanathan. So why this pressing need for withdrawal of the 2,000 rupee denomination at this point? Mr. Somanathan, can you hear me, sir? Mr. Somanathan, is my voice getting through to you? We seem to be having an issue with that line, but we will try and connect with the Finance Secretary. Well, that's one of the decisions that has taken place. The other decision, of course, is the fact that the government has decided to course correct after the outpouring of criticism, especially on social media from different quarters. The tax collection at source on small transactions under the liberalised remittance scheme, which was supposed to come in from the 1st of July of 2023, the government has decided that any payment by an individual using their international debit or credit card up to 7 lakh rupees per financial year will be excluded from the LRS limit and hence will not attract any TCS. So that is the situation there as far as the LRS is concerned. And the third and other important aspect, of course, is the fact that the government is also now saying very clearly that there will be parity. So this applies to credit cards as well. Mr. Somanathan, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can.
Fabulous.
Yes,
Thank you very much for joining us. There's a bunch of news developments this evening. Let me start by talking to you about the decision to withdraw the 2,000 rupee denomination banknote from circulation. It will continue as legal tender. Now, we know that the printing of the note stopped in 2018-2019. Its circulation as a percentage of the currency in circulation is also down from the 35% at its peak to about 10% now. So why the pressing need for this decision at this point, Mr. Somanathan?
It's not a pressing need, but it's a need because this is a high denomination note. It had its utility at a particular point of time. That point of time has passed, and we have tremendous progress in digital payments. The need for such a high denomination for transactional use is no longer there. So it's an appropriate time to shift into lower denomination notes and increasingly into digital payments. So the number of these notes actually used currently in transactions is very limited.
Yes, I understand that it's down to about 10.8% as of the 31st of March 2023. But, you know, I just want to press on this issue of transactional use. You're saying that it has served its purpose, it's outlived its utility. It was born and came into existence on account of the demonetization exercise of 2016. But, you know, we've just gone through this period of a fair degree of volatility because of demonetization. You know, the economy at this point in time is going through a phase of recovery and repair. Was this the right time to go through with this? Because even as far as perception is concerned, Mr. Somanathan, it does unsettle people.
I don't think there's any comparison between this and demonetization. It continues to be legal tender. It will have virtually no, in fact, it will have no effect on the economy. I don't expect it to have, I think it is absolutely wrong to compare it with the demonetization. It continues to be legal tender. There are several months in which to hand it over.
I'm not comparing it at all, sir.
Transaction. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the impact
No,
on the
I'm not at all comparing it with demonetization. In fact, we've been. Yeah.
I don't foresee any impact on the economy.
Okay. One clarification, Mr. Somanathan, because, the release from the Reserve Bank as well as the FAQ are not quite clear on that. I'm reading from the release of the Reserve Bank, point number 8. It says to complete the exercise in a time-bound manner and to provide adequate time to the members of public, all banks shall provide deposit and or exchange facility with the 2,000 rupee banknotes until the 30th of September 2023. Now, if someone was not able to avail of this exchange facility till September for whatever reasons, maybe they're not in the country, etc., etc., what happens post that, sir?
I'm sure the Reserve Bank will have a proper system to handle this. I am not in a position to comment.
Okay. Mr. Somanathan, let me address the other issue, and this is, of course, an issue that the Finance Ministry has dealt with, and this is the imposition of the 20% TCS on credit card transactions. I mean, you're well aware of the fact that there has been an outpouring of feedback, of criticism, of the fact that this was actually opposite to the ease of doing business as well as the ease of living for the honest taxpayer. So the government has now decided to course correct and bring in changes to the 20% TCS imposition. That levy will now apply only if the transactions are more than 7 lakh rupees per financial year. But why was the decision brought in the very first place, Mr. Somanathan?
So there are two aspects here. It was never the intention to tax small transactions. We had, even in yesterday's clarification or yesterday's FAQ, stated that we would be issuing a clarification. So the intention has always been that all LRS transactions need to be properly accounted for, that credit cards should not be outside the LRS limits, that LRS usage beyond a certain threshold needs to be accounted for properly and to suffer a tax collection at source, because we have seen many instances of persons whose LRS transactions far exceed their disclosed incomes. And these are not a few cases, these are plentiful cases. So at the same time, we have no intention of inconveniencing people on small payments on their trips abroad and so on. And that's why the clarification has been given that it doesn't apply to payments up to 7 lakh rupees per annum. Now, as regards the larger payments that are made are tax collection at source. There are two possible cases. A person is paying taxes in accordance with his actual income, in which case this can be adjusted against advance tax payments every quarter. It can be adjusted against TDS, which an employer will deduct. It can be adjusted against self-assessment payments. So it should not affect, barring a slight working capital effect in the short run, that too for a very few months, it doesn't affect those who are paying their taxes, and it doesn't affect people whose transactions are less than 7 lakhs per annum. For those who are not paying their taxes, if they suffer a 20% TCS, I think that's legitimate.
Yes, I don't think anyone is arguing about those who are evading taxes and the impact or the implications for them. But, you talked about this working capital constraint, and you said that it is expected to be a constraint for a few months. And, of course, we're now, with the clarification that's come in this evening, talking about people who are transacting more than 7 lakh rupees per annum. But that is a concern that many have expressed, that it will impact working capital needs and cause a burden as far as people and businesses are concerned.
Let me be clear. I use the term working capital erroneously. This is not working capital. This is not business. This is gifts. This is investments abroad. This is other forms of non-business transactions. These are personal remittances. Delay in getting your TCS back, but that's not if we are talking about large transactions, then I think that is something that is the necessity.
Yeah.
We have seen huge increases in remittances. The amount of remittances under LRS, particularly large remittances, are becoming significant at a macroeconomic level in the balance of payments. And so those who are either outside LRS limits through the use of credit cards, which has been happening, and therefore are not accounted for within the LRS limits, and those who have been incurring foreign exchange transactions without paying commensurate taxes, it is a legitimate aim to cover them, and therefore this is a I think, a reasonable step.
Okay, that's as far as the clarification that's come in on the 20% TCS imposition. There will not be a 20% TCS imposition on transactions below 7 lakh rupees per annum. Mr. Somanathan, there's another important development that's taken place this evening, and that is, of course, the Reserve Bank's surplus, 87,400 crore rupees coming in from the Reserve Bank to the government, significantly higher than last year's number.
Yes, it is. It is significantly higher than last year's number. However, it's not something that significantly changes our overall non-tax receipts position for the year. I think we are not expecting any significant change in the overall receipts of the government.
Yes, but that does provide ample cushion to you. And I also wanted to understand, Mr. Somanathan, you know, we saw a cabinet decision yesterday, and that will result in correction as far as fertilizer prices are concerned. On balance, what does the food and fertilizer subsidy picture now look like?
It doesn't look any different from the budget estimate on February 1st.
No change on account of the decisions taken?
No. Yesterday's was a routine seasonal decision that's taken every year for the Kharif season, and it is something that it determines the particular levels of subsidy over a 6-month period. The amounts that were mentioned are not incremental to the budget. They are within this year's budget figures.
Okay. So, Mr. Somanathan, before I let you go, finally, you know, you said that you cannot clarify at this point in time what happens post the 30th of September, and I would imagine that we will see more come in from the Reserve Bank in terms of FAQs. But, you know, your message to people who are watching, we have been saying through the course of this evening that the 2,000 rupee note continues to be legal tender, so you can transact in the 2,000 rupee note as of tomorrow. This is not demonetization. You know, your message to viewers who are watching.
This is not going to affect the economy. This is a smooth transition. You have plenty of time to go, and banks will credit your accounts with these amounts, and they'll exchange monies at the counter if you wish, and you have till the 30th of September. There's plenty of time. This is not going to cause any disruption either in normal life or in the economy.
Mr. Somanathan, appreciate you joining us here to take us through the big developments that have taken shape this evening, starting with the Reserve Bank and then, of course, the two developments that the Finance Ministry has been party to as well. Appreciate your time, and thank you very much for speaking to us here on CNBC-TV18. That's the Finance Secretary, TV Somanathan, on the decisions taken by the Reserve Bank as well as the government. Well, we will take a break here. There's a lot more coming up. Don't go anywhere. We're back in a minute with more.